the Powkiddy V20. This is Powkiddy's latest budget handheld, and I can't wait to check it out, so let's get into it. Here, right inside the box, we have a cleaning cloth, because I did get this from 2retro.com. They sent this over for me to review, but no money exchanged hands, and all my thoughts are my own. But I will have affiliate links in the description below if you're interested in helping out the channel at no added cost to you. Also in the box is, of course, a charging cable, a couple of retro cassette tape stickers that go on this handheld, and the user manual. Of course, a foam pad for protection there. I went with the yellow one, and there it is. It's a much more muted yellow than I expected it to be. It's very muted, actually, almost like a pastel yellow. Immediate thoughts: I love that there's a battery compartment, and I love that this is flat right here on your desk. I really don't like it when they have this where it protrudes out here and it doesn't sit flat, it sits raised. I don't know why that bothers me, but it does. Oh boy, this is so tricky. Which one of these do I put on here? I feel like once you pick, you're done. But the stickers are kind of cool. They have this retro cassette tape vibe to them. I think I'm going to go with the red one. So let's just go ahead and apply that. All right, so applying this I thought would be a very quick process. Turns out it is not. These little cutouts don't want to come out. But with a little time and a pocket knife, you can get that out of there. All right, so there's your cassette tape deck. For the dozen of you watching this that remembers what a cassette tape is, reminiscence. Man, it's got kind of a cool retro look to it. I don't hate it. The triggers are very loud, very clicky, but I do like how your finger wraps around. It's very smooth here on the edge. They're just really loud. Face buttons themselves, they're fine. They're actually very quiet. They feel pretty good. They feel like Powkiddy buttons. The D-pad is pretty soft, kind of mushy feeling. Has a fairly shallow pivot. We have Joy-Con style sticks down here. They feel solid. Start and select are very loud as well. And there's an SD card in here. Let's see what that is before we turn it on. Oh, I've never had one of these before. A sepia, a CPI, I don't know how to say that, but we got a 64 gigabyte card here that is at least branded, so I expect that it will probably be fine. I think a lot of these companies have realized that the really generic bad SD cards were giving them a bad name, and when they've moved on. Speaking of moving on, let's turn this console on. Powkiddy. Rare. I'm sorry I made that sound effect. I feel like Powkiddy needs like sound effects to go, like a punching sound followed by the sound of a cat in an alleyway or something, even though it's spelled D with D's instead of T's. Whatever. Menu's really snappy. It's just snapping right through there. No problems whatsoever. We've got a few games from quite a few systems on here, including PlayStation, PSP. What PSP games do we have? God of War, Grand Theft Auto, Metal Slug, Spider-Man 2, Castlevania, Dragon Ball Z, Ben 10, NBA. We have some arcade games, MAME, Capcom, MSX and MSX2, PC Engine. We even have Nintendo games on here, which you aren't seeing a lot recently. Game Boy, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color. I've really been getting into Game Boy Color games lately, and I don't know, I've been playing Pokemon Crystal, which is a really fun game. I've never played Pokemon really before. I kind of missed that craze, but I'm finding it now, and it's pretty fun. A couple of DS games here too. Lego Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter, Rayman, Spider-Man 2. I actually do like Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the game. I think the game might be better than the movie, actually. Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, Game Gear, Neo Geo. Before we check out this N64 here, why don't we just... Speaker's not great. It's okay. It's a little tinny. A little stuttering here right at the very beginning when it was counting down. But once the race started, it's going pretty smooth. Woo! See if I can pull off a win here. No, not the grass, not the grass. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, I cannot catch up to this guy. Are you kidding me? Whoa, that was crazy. Oh my goodness gracious. Come on. Almost there. Go, go, go. Yes. Yes. Ha ha ha. That ran really, really well. So N64 is looking pretty good. I know that this isn't necessarily the hardest game to run on 64, but if you want to do some 64 emulation on this device, you can, and that's good news. Put in my initials, BKG. Now this is running some kind of emulation station front end version 42. I don't know if this is a Batocera build or something else. It seems to be based on Batocera, but I do want to point out that there is no Wi-Fi built into this, so you will not be able to do any kind of over-the-air updates or box art scraping or retro achievements or anything like that unless you attach a Wi-Fi dongle down here on the USB port, but then you have that sticking out, and that to me just feels annoying. And something I noticed after I played with this a little more is I did try to connect to Wi-Fi using a Wi-Fi dongle. You have to, of course, use a USB-C adapter and stick it in this bottom port down here. But once I was connected, I tried to go to network settings and enable Wi-Fi and connect to my router, and it didn't pick up anything at all. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Wi-Fi on this device, but it does not seem to work. And that means you won't be able to do things like scraper or retro achievements or even download new themes for your device. But you may not want to bother with any of those things, and I completely get that. So if it's not important to you, then don't worry about it. But I did feel like it was worth mentioning. Now I want to check out PSP on here because it does have the thumbsticks, which are useful for that system, and it is running the same chipset as the TrimUI brick, which doesn't. And that's the Allwinner A133P. It's a quad-core processor, and so I expect that this probably runs PSP, obviously not everything, but somewhat decently. And just from the intro here, you can see the sky. We're definitely running with frame skip on, but all the details are there, and that's really great to see. This is most likely going to give you a playable, and I say that in air quotes, a playable experience. The frame rate's going to be low, but you could get away with some PSP emulation on here. I mean, look at that. It's definitely skipping frames, but everything's already set up for you, and it works. Take out this ship real quick. Boom! Bye-bye. So you've got some 64, you've got some PSP. Everything below that is going to run super great. One performance thing I did notice I had to make a small tweak for was with the PlayStation emulator. You need to hit the select button and then scroll down to Advanced System Options. Once you're in Advanced System Options, you'll see Emulator right at the top, and you need to change that to PCSX Rearmed. And also make sure you're on High Performance. Then just hit B a couple of times to go back, and now all your games should run in the Rearmed emulator, and you can check that by selecting any other game and hitting select and going to advanced and seeing that it's still on rearmed no matter which game you pick. And then once you start up the game, you'll have no more stuttering. I did have some stuttering out of the box, so you might need to make that one change. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, none of those systems, Genesis, none of those systems are going to have any problems whatsoever. You can zip through these menus really fast by holding down the trigger buttons. And you can just get from one end to the other. There's 866 games there. They all have screenshots loaded in. As far as the screen goes, this is 640 by 480. It looks just fine. The colors are saturated well. For a handheld at this price point, I don't think you can expect everything. It's not the best looking screen, but it's not the worst looking screen. It's just, I would say, a budget looking screen. If this was all I had to play on, I wouldn't even notice. I wouldn't notice that it didn't look as good as some other things that I've tested out. The D-pad feels pretty nice in Sonic 3. I haven't had any trouble with that. As you can see, it's doing its job. In terms of the size of the Powkiddy V20, here it is next to the Powkiddy RGB30. So you can see here it's a little bit smaller, but it's also just a little bit thicker. The screen, of course, is just slightly smaller, but this is also, again, the cheaper handheld, much more affordable. And here it is next to the TrimUI brick, which of course runs the same chipset. And you can see the TrimUI brick is much smaller, much more pocketable, but it does have a smaller screen and smaller buttons, and it's just a little more cramped in your hand. This really does give you plenty of space for your thumbs to play on. Apparently I started a game. I don't even know what game it is. Are we playing poker or something? Oh, checkers. Okay. Does anybody know how to play backgammon? Because I don't. I've never played backgammon in my life. I mean, you always hear about it, but I've never actually seen anyone play it in real life. Let me know in the comments if you've ever played backgammon in real life. I think it might just be a made-up board game for movies and TV. Anyway, that's not what this is about. But let's check out the specs on the system for a moment. The Powkiddy V20 runs on a Linux operating system. It has a 3.5-inch IPS display running at 640 by 480. It uses the Allwinner A133P ARM quad-core 1.8 GHz processor. It has 1 gig of DDR3 RAM, 2 micro SD card slots that can both read up to 256 gigabytes. It has a built-in 1-watt speaker, and that's probably why it sounds so tinny. Not a lot of power there. However, it does have a 5,000 milliamp hour lithium battery, and that is a lot more than most budget handhelds. In fact, this boasts a 10-hour battery life. Now, I don't know that it will actually give you 10 hours, but I bet it gets you at least 8, and that's still 3 to 4 more hours than most budget handhelds will give you. It uses Type-C for charging, it has an OTG port for an extra controller, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now, it has a list of unique features on the website: nostalgic appearance, flat LR triggers, dual TF card slots, and that is nice, especially when there's no Wi-Fi, because you can put the operating system on TF card 1, and you can put all your game ROMs on TF card 2, and then you don't have to worry about recopying games every time you upgrade the system. It has a high-performance quad-core CPU that supports God of War, and a super large 5,000 milliamp hour battery that has 10 hours of battery life. And I think it's hilarious because I didn't know any of those things were listed on the website. I didn't look at it until right now, and I've already talked about all of those things. Now, a lot of times reviewers will talk about who is this made for, and to be honest, I don't know who this is made for. It's got a neat look. Maybe you just like the look of it. That's enough reason to get one. As you've seen, it's a solid performer. They just made a few budget-conscious decisions, like no Wi-Fi. There's also no HDMI port. You can actually see on the top where one would normally go, and they don't have that cut away. So they left some things out, but I think that that's fine. One of the things that's great about this hobby is that there's something for almost anyone at any budget level. As long as the performance is there, you can work around a lot of the other stuff. But what do you think of the Powkiddy V20? Let me know your thoughts in the comments or any questions that you might have. And if you're interested, don't forget the affiliate links in the description below. Thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, all that jazz. Stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.